Last stop.
Hello and welcome. My name is Todd Banks and I'm a council member of Tsa-La-Gi Los Angeles, the local affiliate of Cherokee Nation. We're now doing everything virtual, and today we'll be interviewing Mary Baker Shaw, who is one of two at-large tribal council members who represent us in Oklahoma. The other representative is Julia Coates, who is a founding member of Tsa-La-Gi Los Angeles. There are a total of 17 elected members on the Cherokee Nation Tribal Council. Mary Baker Shaw comes from a long line of Native American leaders and educators. She's been married to her husband, Dr. Shaw, for 39 years and lives in Broken Arrow, Oklahoma. Please help me welcome Mary Baker Shaw.
Thank you, Todd. I'm happy to be here with you today.
So if you're ready, I've got a few questions I'd like to ask you if you're up for it.
I'm absolutely up for it. Fire away.
Okay. So first off, what is the role of a tribal council member?
Well, the tribal council member's job is to represent the people who elected them. In my case, I represent more than 260,000 Cherokees at large. And where we represent them is the tribal council. Now, the tribal council establishes laws necessary for the good of Cherokee Nation and conducts other businesses to further the interest of Cherokee Nation and its citizens. Business is discussed through public meetings, and legislation is passed or failed at our monthly tribal council meetings. And they're usually held at 6 p.m. on the Saturday following the second, on the Monday following the second Saturday each month, generally at 6 p.m.
All right. My next question is, tell us about yourself and how you became a tribal council member.
Well, what happened, I'm Mary Baker Shaw, and I was raised inside jurisdiction in Tahlequah, Oklahoma. My parents are both Indian educators. My father's the retired superintendent at Sequoia High School. And interestingly enough, my father graduated from this very school. Wow. To this day, my father is on the board of trustees for the school, and he loves this school. My father, by the way, is 94 years young. I'm one of 4 girls, 3 of which are living. My older sister, Winona, is deceased. And then my 2 sisters would be Walia, and she's a retired pharmaceutical rep, and Noma, a teacher. Okay. And I grew up, I attended Bacone College after high school and the School of Nursing. Bacone is a Native American college, and I graduated and went to Tulsa, Oklahoma, where I worked in surgery for a couple of years. And then I attended Mayo Clinic School of Nursing Anesthesia. Upon my return back to Tulsa, I was offered the job of director of surgery at Doctors Hospital in Tulsa, Oklahoma, and I accepted. And I worked there up to where I met my husband, and even after we married, I still continued to work for around a year. And following that, we resided in Wagner, Oklahoma, where my husband's practice was. We had a young daughter named Natalie. She is our only child. And based on her educational needs, we moved to Broken Arrow, Oklahoma, and this is where we live. When we moved to Broken Arrow, I got really involved in nonprofit organizations, and I volunteered for organizations such as the Salvation Army, March of Dimes, Tulsa Project Woman, which is a breast cancer awareness program, Tulsa Opera, the Signature Symphony, Tulsa Community College Foundation, which is this community college is the largest in the nation and has the largest Native American population of any community colleges. I was involved with other organizations, and right now I can't even begin to think of where all they belonged. I also served on the board of trustees for our Cherokee Heritage Center. I came to a point where I told my husband, you know, I can volunteer and do fundraisers for all these nonprofits, but what I'd really like to do is help our people. And so he became my biggest cheerleader, and I told him I wanted to help the Cherokees in particular, and he supported me all the way. And I was lucky enough to win my election, and here I am now, 3.5 years later.
That's a very impressive background.
Thank you.
So how can the community watch the tribal council meetings? Is there a way for that to happen?
Yes, there is. Many of the organizations on Facebook or the groups on Facebook air them live. But if you really want to watch them right up front, I would recommend YouTube, Cherokee Nation, because we have our own YouTube channel and they will air them. And if you miss them, you can go back and reload them at a later date and watch them again.
Wow, okay. So what are some of the biggest issues facing the Cherokee Nation right now?
You know, so many of our citizens live in poverty condition, which the tribe is doing everything they can to assist, and then lack of education. And again, the tribe, we're doing everything we can to assist in that. We're offering these wonderful educational grants to our inside jurisdiction Cherokees, giving them the opportunity to pursue education, which hopefully will lead to jobs, which hopefully will lead to, you know, the poverty situation that so many of our people are in.
Right.
Also, I have to say health concerns. You know, we have the Native Americans have the largest incidence of diabetes in the United States. Not only diabetes, obesity, and hypertension as well. And these are issues that we need to address. And again, it goes back to education, I think, in so many circumstances. And I would say those are the biggest issues, as well as the language, our language program as well. We need more people to learn Cherokee.
Right. So my next question is, what are some of the updates you have to share? Anything new happening?
Yes, I've got them right here. And if you don't mind, I'm going to use my notes somewhat on this. I would like to share that as of today, we have the tribe through our Cherokee Health System program. We have the 9 clinics and of course, WW Hastings. We are running with 1,926 COVID cases. Now the death total I didn't get today, but I got it a week ago, Saturday, it was 17. Today, Oklahoma, now we had 1,926, but Oklahoma had 76,807. And the state death rate is 946. Now, in the COVID cases for our tribe, within our jurisdiction and our healthcare system, out of the 1,926, only 360 are active. And that may still sound like a lot, but when you realize that our healthcare system last year alone had 1.2 million patient visits, the numbers are remarkably well. And I feel we really owe that to a lot of our public health system. We are probably the only tribe in the United States that has a public health department. And we're very blessed. They got on the ground rolling as soon as the pandemic became, we all became aware of the pandemic. And we owe so much of these low numbers to them, and I'm very thankful for it. Oh, let me keep going. Oh, for those of you who have been following us, the McGirt case has happened and it has been ruled on and by the Supreme Court. And it turns out that the Creek tribe, our Creek Creek Nation has been recognized as having a sovereign nation by the United States Supreme Court. Now, what this means for us is that Cherokee Nation is now recognized as a reservation. And for those of you who are interested in this and want to know more about it, please go to attorneygeneral.cherokee.org. Again, that's attorneygeneral.cherokee.org and read up on this. I am aware that there will be more information given to Tribal Council in these upcoming next 2 weeks, and I'm looking forward to learning more about this because right now very little information has been given to us. I will share with you that the death of our Supreme Court Justice Lynn Burris led to an opening, and that has just been filled by the 3rd female ever on our on our Supreme Court Justice level. And we have an at-large, I'm so sorry, I'm messing this up.
You're doing great. You're doing great.
Doing great. Okay, and that is, we have, Cynthia, I hope you can edit this. We have the 3rd female, and she's an at-large citizen, and her name is Shauna S. Baker. And she has been sworn in. The vote on that, I believe, was 12 to 4 on that vote on her, but she has been sworn in. The tribe received $450 million in COVID assistance funding, and the Cherokee Nation earmarked $25 million for COVID construction projects just recently. In Tahlequah, they're going to use part of that money for an employee health clinic. In Hulbert, as well as Stillwell, they're going to do face mask manufacturing plants, and I'm really excited about that because that will provide jobs for our in-jurisdiction Cherokees, and I'm really thrilled. They will still need face masks following this pandemic. And there's a community center in Belfonte, which will focus on food security, and it's been designated to store and distribute food throughout the pandemic. And some of these storage facilities will be in Stillwell, and Stillwell is also getting a public health facility. Now, we just approved our annual budget last month, and it's the largest budget in tribal history. It's $1.5 billion. And we owe a debt of gratitude to the COVID-19 assistance that we received from the federal government, because without their assistance, I think we would be struggling. But we're going to use part of that assistance to pay for our healthcare employees that have been working throughout this terrible pandemic and that they have found themselves in.
Good.
The tribe has 4 new national treasures, and they are Tracy Rabbit of Pryor in painting. I'm excited about Dorothy Sullivan. She's an at-large citizen from Norman, Oklahoma, and hers is in painting and art education. And then David Crawler from Tahlequah, and his is in language. Crosland Smith was also recognized from Bayan, Oklahoma, and his is in language and culture. And something I'm really excited about for our at-large citizens is a new law that Councilor Coates and I sponsored, and that's on glasses. Now, when we first started out for this, we wanted glasses for at-large, but I want you to know that the old law was that glasses were provided to Cherokees inside jurisdiction for those who were in school or for those 55 or older. Well, the good news is we've got a new law through where any Cherokee citizen that needs glasses can now get them. But
Okay.
you have to have your eyes examined inside jurisdiction, where they will provide you with the $200 voucher that you use to pick out the glass frames and the lens that you want or need. And that's a huge victory for at-large. This is the first law of its kind that directly impacts at-large citizens. So it's kind of historic, and I'm really proud to have been sponsored on that. If anyone tells you that the money is coming from inside jurisdiction out of our government funds, that's not correct. The money is coming from the money that is funded to Cherokee Nation through C&D. And so I'm especially proud of that. And that kind of brings you up to date on what's happening inside jurisdiction at Tribal Council.
Great. So if you had one wish for the Cherokee Nation, what would that be?
If I had one wish, my wish would be for language. In January of 2020, we had less than 2,000 speakers. And since this horrible pandemic has happened, we have lost many. And by many, I mean less than 100, but any loss on a fluent Cherokee speaker is substantial to a tribe that only has less than 2,000. When you realize our tribe, exists with what, 370,000 Cherokees. That's substantial. And that's what I would wish for, is that every Cherokee strive to learn some Cherokee vocabulary. It may not seem like a lot, but everything builds up, and that's what we need to do to save our language.
So what is the best way for an at-large Cherokee to stay informed and connected?
Well, I'd recommend through their community meetings. I really would. Anytime I get a phone call, I always ask for where they're located and encourage them to join their Cherokee communities. Also, any Cherokee citizen can follow, Cherokee Nation on Facebook, and they always update every day. The administration runs that program, but there's always updates daily on what's happening within the tribe, and I would encourage you to do that. Also, anything really significant, I will post on my Facebook page at Mary Baker Shaw.
Great. And so is that the best way for people to reach you?
Well, I am the only tribal counselor out of the 17 of us who refused a tribal council's cell phone. If you want to reach me, you can contact me through my personal cell phone, and that number is 918-630-4000. Again, it's 918-630-4000. And that is the same cell phone that my daddy calls me on, and my husband too. If you need me, I want to talk to you, and that's why I refused a tribal cell phone.
Thank you so much. Is there anything else you'd like to share with the viewers?
Well, my words of wisdom would be walk 6 feet away. Make sure you keep your distance. Wash your hands at least 21 seconds when you wash them, and wash them frequently, and wear a mask. We're in the middle of a pandemic, and stay safe. Also, I'd encourage everybody to get a flu vaccine.
Well, thank you so much. I really appreciate your time and coming on with us. So any parting words?
No, but I really appreciate y'all having me today. Thank you so much. Wado.
I do. Thank you.